At the end of every Scooby-Doo episode, they call the cops. That's what they do. So, invariably, the Mystery Machine accidentally breaks down. The Scooby Gang stumbles upon a mysterious location where there's a ghost, a zombie, a Frankenstein monster of some sort, wreaking havoc. And I guess typically it's like there's always some dude who dresses up like a monster to scare people away to drive property value down or something. They have like one episode theme. But anyway, Scooby and Shaggy are scared. And then, Velma can't see without her glasses. And in the end, they set a trap. They capture the bad guy. And then Fred pulls his mask off and the police arrest him. Well, now Velma is being branded a Karen for calling the police in a video game. The story's actually been circulating for some time because there's a new video game called MultiVersus. MultiVersus is basically a knockoff of Super Smash Brothers, but the characters are like LeBron James for some reason, and the gang from Scooby-Doo, and who else is in it? Because Shaggy goes Super Saiyan, and it's really hilarious. Oh, Arya Stark is in it, but it's just like a cartoon version of her. And Bugs Bunny, I think? Tom and Jerry are in it. Yeah, it's like Warner Brothers characters. So you can play as Velma and fight people. And her special move is to call the police. And the police then arrest you. Oh, this is too good. Get woke, go broke, I guess. Look, okay, this game comes out. And I like the Smash Brothers fighting format, the whatever you call it. And I can respect the hard work that went into this. It's cool to see Shaggy go Super Saiyan. You know what that is, like in Dragon Ball Z when the hair spikes and turns golden and they float and then fire lasers or whatever. Okay, so it is really funny watching. It's like there's a commercial for it. And Shaggy's like, Zoinks, what's going on, man? And then someone steals his sandwich or something and he goes, Rah! And then he just like gets super powerful. That's funny. I respect that. But the game is just kind of not that good. All right. And now here's the thing. First of all, let me just say, canceling Velma because she calls the cops is the stupidest thing ever, because that's literally what they do in Scooby-Doo. This is the modern state of American culture, my friends. I wonder if we have this one tweet from this dude. It's actually really funny. No, we don't have it in Bounding into Comics. I don't know if Washington Post has it. Maybe they do. All right, this dude, He Who Vibes, says, I am enjoying Velma in MultiVersus, but maining a character whose special move is calling the police on her enemies definitely don't sit right with me as a black man, LOL. It is kind of funny. They go on to say there is even a change.org petition to have the move changed. All right, well, it's gone. Okay, it's gone. The move is gone. Now, she says, you're in big trouble, mister, or something like that. And instead of the police showing up, the Mystery Machine shows up. And this is just so much better because, okay, the basics of the move, you're playing as, actually, maybe I'll just play the video. Let me see if I can play this video, and they're going to get mad at me on YouTube or whatever, but, so, actually call the police on you. Here it is. So this is, who is she fighting? Who is that? Velma is fighting, the character from Steven Universe. I don't know. Garnet. That's her name. All right. You're in big trouble now, and then the police car picks up the character, and then she dials a number, and then the police car jumps off the edge, killing them. So they've changed it now. They've gotten rid of it, and now she calls the mystery van. And this is actually substantially worse. Let me show you this. This is funny. So there's Shaggy. He's fighting great. He's throwing sandwiches. And then Velma is going to call... She calls her special move. Not yet. Not yet. She got to get all the clues first. All right, so Shaggy's powering up. Velma gets the clue. And now she... Okay, she says, you're in big trouble now. The Mystery Machine pulls up, hits Shaggy, and kidnaps him. And then jumps off the... So it's actually worse. Like, in the real world, when you get picked up by the police, you're in big trouble. And in the game, in the show, Velma calls the cops on people. Because of the woke outrage over calling the cops on somebody, instead, you just kidnap them. You call your personal van. Velma calls a panel van to come and take you and hurt you. Yo, that is so much worse. But okay. Considering the way things are going now in the world, I'm not surprised that the the woke outrage has resulted in it was a police car that was arresting you, due process, and it's now a mysterious van kidnapping you. Bravo. Bravo. Here we go. So they got rid of it. Get woke, go broke. Velma no longer calls the police on other fighters in multiverses after special move is met with scrutiny on social media. Velma's cop calling attack has been changed to summoning the Mystery Machine after a smattering of discussion and jokes. Okay, it is a dumb move to begin with, right? When they're doing game design, they're like, how about Velma calls the cops on you? It's like, this is probably dumb, but I got to be real. Like, I don't understand why Velma's even a playable character. Like, Fred, I guess. Shaggy, I get. Shaggy's actually really funny. Seeing him, like, do a karate stance and then, like, power up like Goku is actually really funny. Speech bubbles then appear above one or more opposing characters' heads, revealing they are Mr. Jenkins in disguise. The police car then moves towards the marked opponents. When it catches up to them, a silhouette of the character can be seen in the back seat of the imposter marker, changing to show the character behind bars as the police car attempts to hurl its... I love how it's like the cops just take you and then kamikaze off a cliff. As the prompt call the police above Velma's head was shared by the Bestaban, others on Twitter mocked it by comparing it to a Karen's, amazing, slang term for women demanding the police. Others called it a white woman move or joked the move would be more effective against black characters. Okay, here's what I want to say. This is modern culture. It is dumb, I get it. But there's nothing inherently racist about calling the police on someone. To the woke, this is the world they live in. So here's what I'm going to say. We got to win the culture war, my friends. Otherwise, this is what happens. It ain't just about this one thing. Politics is downstream from culture. When you play video games and there are stories that are meant to inspire, and they explicitly tell you police are bad, you end up with things like this. Portland, Oregon, once among the safest cities in the U.S., struggles to cut homicide rate. Why, just recently, a bunch of far leftists took over the city and started shooting at an old man and then killed one of their own dudes. So, like, look, I get their problems with cops, but seriously, when these people want to abolish police, they mean it. And I don't know if that outright is the most functional idea. Now, to be fair, the people who want to abolish police are thinking of something totally different from people who live in the countryside. You live on a rural area, you got sheriffs, and you don't really encounter cops all that much. You live in the big city, you get harassed sometimes. It's true. But you look at Portland. I gotta ask you, what's worse? Getting tickets, being annoyed by cops, sometimes getting arrested and having to deal with it, or murder? I don't want to pretend like the only option is between the two. I think we need police reform, and I think murder is bad. Culture is everything. So I'm going to give a shout out to Tom McDonald's new song, Riot. Currently number 8, trending on music. Number 2 sales on iTunes. I've been shouting out Tom since he released his new song, Riot. It's not an overtly political song, but we have to win the culture war. And winning the culture war means supporting culture. So I'm going to be shouting out Tom periodically throughout the week because this is the reporting week to get him on Billboard. And if he hits number 1 on the Hot 100, I'm going to wear a suit on Timcast IRL. In fact, Ian is going to wear a suit. Lydia's going to wear a suit. And Luke has even agreed to wear a suit if Tom hits number 1. So you can click the link in the description below, buy his song, Riot, because we're trying to support people who are counterculture. We put out a song. Y'all support it. We respect it. Tom's got another song out. We want to support everyone as much as possible because it's not just about me. It's about other people, and Tom's doing a really, really good job of it. Otherwise, this is what you get. You get a culture that tells you it's wrong to call the cops. And I know it may be silly. Seriously. They're like, oh, it's just a dumb game. Who cares? Calling the cops is a dumb move anyway. And it kind of is. But I think it's just a weird cultural phenomenon where we are offended that you call the police on people. I'm not. You know, I see Black Lives Matter calling the cops on people. I've seen those videos multiple times. What they're doing here is just making crime worse. I think it's a cult. I think what you end up seeing with the left is they just latch on to some empty political rhetoric and then chase it into oblivion. So look, if you have problems, you should call the police. You should be careful about what you say to police always. Double-edged sword it is. But if you're dealing with a problem, you let the police handle it. Why? Because they are third-party arbiters of the problem. Now, I was perfect. I told the story just last week about how I had cops basically mug me in New York. Yeah, because they're people. But do you want to put yourself in harm's way? It's tough questions. I know all the libertarians are spitting and yelling and complaining. Look, you want to do a private police force? I'm down. I'm just saying right now, we need some kind of third-party arbiters for dealing with security. I don't personally believe that private can handle it. I do believe the current state of policing is corrupt in this country to a great degree. And that's why we saw so many cops quit massive retirements, because they know too. But that only leaves us left with a bunch of corrupt cops. And that's a problem. But let me tell you something else. When we're watching these video games and we say get woke, go broke and all that stuff, and then I tell you buy Tom McDonald's song, and I'll tell you why. We got to win the culture war. Let me throw it to our good friend Cenk Uygur to explain why you need to. Viva Fry, our actual good friend, said, serious question, Cenk Uygur. Are you denying that CNN is clearly, demonstrably, and unequivocally on the left progressive? If you are prepared to admit this, how do you balance out something that is skewed by adding more to the side which is already skewed? Cenk Uygur says, yes, I'm absolutely denying it. It's on, quote, the left on social issues, as in they think you shouldn't hate black or gay people, which puts right-wing in a rage. But on economic issues, they're completely right-wing. They have a corporate agenda which is identical to Republicans. It was very interesting. Viva responded. He said, Cenk, your denial contains the material admission. You are also conflating economic issues with corporate interests. CNN has a corporation, has the same corporate interests as Fox News, but on the economic issues to fund the police, taxation, for example, they are left. That's right. Cenk Uygur, outright stating it. The corporations, or CNN in particular, is on the left. So the narrative they espouse will be on the left, regardless of if it makes sense. I don't care for left or right-wing talking points. They call me right-wing because the left is out of their mind. You've got many libertarians who are saying that we should completely abolish the police, along with Antifa, for different reasons, mind you. You have conservatives saying, back the blue, baby. And I'm saying somewhat neither of those things. Now, people say, you're such a milquetoast fence-sitter. Dude, I'm trying to be reasonable in what would work. And when you see Portland, Oregon with skyrocketing homicide cases, don't come to me and tell me abolishing the police is the solution. Now libertarians will come to me and they'll say the cops are corrupt. We're better off without them. Okay. And then maybe Second Amendment, an armed society, and no cops, perhaps. I still think we need some degree of law enforcement. I do. And I think it's because it is naive to believe that these massive cities with conflicting interests and crime can function with people just being armed. I think maybe we move in that direction, like we reduce the amount of police. Police should be used for administrative calls to deal with process when it comes to crime. And you should have the right to keep and bear arms and defend yourself. It's complicated, man. Of course it is. And that's why it's annoying when people are like, just take a side, Tim. Just take a stance. Are you for the police or against the police? And I'm like, dude, it's not that simple. It never is. We're dealing with a massive system that is built up over hundreds of years. And you want to snap your fingers and solve the problem. It ain't going to happen. 2.5 million people on Manhattan Island. You can't just not have cops. If people don't want to have to carry weapons, then you have cops carry the weapons. But then taking away the right of people to keep and bear arms, you get corrupt cops. You get corrupt politicians appointing corrupt cops. Maybe there is no answer. I can tell you this. The direction we're heading in ain't a direction I want to be around. Portland, Oregon, skyrocketing homicide rates. This is the point. Let me tie it together in a neat little bow. Yes, it may be silly that Velma calls the police and they remove it. Now you get kidnapped, I guess. But isn't that the perfect breakdown of what it really is? Either you have the cops arrest you, and then you can go through begrudgingly a due process system that is sometimes broken and often broken, or you can have a van pull up, they throw you in the back and drive you off a cliff. I think it's hilarious that in the absence of police, we have this metaphor in this stupid multiverses game. It's not that bad of a game, okay? I've played it. It's all right. But in this game, you can get rid of the police, and now you just get kidnapped and murdered. Let me say that again. They took the police out. Granted, by that logic, the cops were murdering you as well. But you get the analogy. People complained that the cops were arresting people, and they said, okay, we'll make it so that they throw you in the back of a van and drive you off a cliff. It's the perfect example, isn't it? That's what we're dealing with. The cops can pull you over and give you a fake ticket. It sucks. The cops can pull you over. You didn't pay your ticket. You get arrested. It really sucks. You get rid of those cops and then a dude walks up to your car and puts 2 in your chest. Man, I don't want to sit here and claim that the police are the only solution in the face of crime. Because perhaps keeping and bearing arms can help reduce substantial amounts of crime as well when criminals are afraid again. You know, Maj Touré has that shirt, make criminals afraid again. You know? So maybe that's something we need to talk about. People need to keep and bear arms, and we do need some kind of minimal police force for the administrative process. And when crimes get serious, when people have like high-powered rifles or armor-piercing rounds and they're robbing banks, who knows? I can tell you this. It ain't going to matter unless we win the culture war. And when you look at what's going on with these video games, when you look at New York Times, yes, we literally mean abolish the police. And then you look at this from Bounding Into Comics. Sony mocked over $11 million global social justice fund. 30K PlayStation Career Pathways program scholarships for historically disadvantaged communities. You laugh, you mock them, but they are dumping money into this stuff. You want to know what kids are thinking about? Man, this is it. So I'll tell you why I say support Tom MacDonald. Because it has never been more clear, dudes. Culture is everything. And I'll tell you this. School choice is a victory. They're trying to get your kids because they don't have any. I am not going to say, hold the line. No, this is what you need to understand. School choice is a hold the line move. Make sure your kids don't get exposed to the cult. I'm saying charge the center. We should, now that we are holding the line when it comes to schools, and we're winning on school choice, now that we've held the defensive position, it's time to make a forward-moving maneuver. I'm being careful with my language here. And that is winning in culture, challenging the machine, invading their spaces. We've defended the line. Now we take the spaces. Right now, Timcast Only Ever Wanted, our song, number 2, Billboard digital sales. Number 21, rock. Number 16, alternative. Number 24, rock and alternative. There are so many bands that never hit these charts, and we did it thanks to you. Tom MacDonald is now number 2 on iTunes, which likely predicts he's going to top the sales charts and the hip-hop charts coming up next week when they release the official Billboard charts. That'll be not this week. It'll be next week, Tuesdays, when the official charts will come out. Here's why it's so important that we do it. Because we can make sure that, I should say your kids. I don't have any kids. But your kids are in schools. You have school choice, and you're making sure these teachers aren't indoctrinating them with crazy crackpot ideas. Now, your kids are being exposed to music and TikTok. TikTok's where it's really scary because they ban us from TikTok. They're recoiling in horror that our song did so well. Number 2, they were shocked. They didn't want to believe it. So they said they wouldn't cover us in the news because they hate us. But the reality is they want to make sure that young people don't get exposed to culture that tells them, hey, dude, be responsible. Be individually free. And you know what? Sometimes you got to call the cops. Sometimes it's okay to have a police force. I'm not an anarchist. I'm a libertarian-leaning centrist. That means I'm not going to come out and say abolish the police, except in the circumstances where the left says that they would like to abolish the police in their cities. I say, okay, give them what they want. All right. Oh, what's that? They all of a sudden walked that back, didn't they? What they really want is control of police. I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers, my friends. I can only tell you this. We can't just sit back and be like, school choice and then we're good. Winning the culture war is everything. Making culture. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to just start making stuff. I know a lot of people hit me up and they're like, hey, I make music, I make videos. Can you support me? It's like, we can support some people. We've hired many people we believed in. We've got shows like Pop Culture Crisis, Tales from the Inverted World. The vlog is expanding. But we're not able to work with everybody. But I can tell you, man, you just got to keep making stuff. You got to make your own stuff. You got to put it up. You got to put it on YouTube. You make music, sign up for DistroKid or TuneCore, and that'll get all your music on all the platforms. Not expensive, like $10 a month or something like that. Start there. Do what you can. It's not perfect. It's not easy. It's difficult. But it's time to start making culture. Tom did it. We're doing it. Y'all can do it too. We're going to sign some musicians. We're going to do to the best of our abilities what we can to expand the culture. We're working on a video game. Our video game is going to be funny, and it's going to be, peripherally political. We'll call it that. The main character, it's not political, but the underlying themes of the story are political, and it's funny. But if you were to play the game, you know, you wouldn't think too much about the politics. It is a roguelike game that we're developing. We've shown it some time. We've shown it some time. What am I trying to say? We've showed it a bit in a variety of formats, like I posted on Instagram. And we're making a card game as well. We are trying to make things that young people will be inspired by, interested in, and it will move them away from the crackpot wokery and towards individual liberty. And that means not just speaking out. And that means we got to do more than be political. Case in point. Only Ever Wanted, the song we released. Check it out on Spotify. Stream it. Put it on your playlists. The more you guys listen, the better off we are. Same thing for the song we have, Will of the People. Check out Timcast as an artist on Spotify, 2 songs, and then some like other songs. They shouldn't be there. We'll move them. Will of the People and Only Ever Wanted are 2 songs I put out. Will of the People, overtly political. Only Ever Wanted, not political. And we put out Only Ever Wanted, a not political song, on purpose. Tom MacDonald's Riot is not political. It's on purpose. There needs to be a way. There needs to be content that allows people. Let me put it this way: we got to meet people where they are. You make a political song. Tom's got a ton of them. They're awesome, and political people who understand this hear it and they're like, "Yup." Preaching to the choir though. Regular people who don't know this hear, then like, I know what you're talking about. You make something that's not political. It's enjoyable entertainment. They watch. They listen. There it is. Now we're meeting people where they are, and this is why they get so pissed off about it. This is why they work so hard to keep Tom MacDonald off the charts, and this is why I'm pushing his song, because you look at what happens. They make a video game. They bend the knee in 2 seconds to the woke crowd. 2 seconds. Okay. Why don't they add the cops back? How come we can't come out and be like, how dare you remove the police? The police are time-honored, blah, 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 put them back. They won't do it. We've got to make our own stuff. We have to promote and support people who are making good culture. For $1, when you buy Tom MacDonald's song, you're giving him, I don't think he gets the full $1. They get a cut, right? But you buy that song, you are giving him money to keep making more music, and you're forcing his music into the Billboard charts, and then the media has no choice but to recognize. And then eventually, we take the hill, and we dominate the charts always. Then everyone else just says, oh, we want to be like them. That's where the money's at. Because they're zombies. They're NPCs. They'll follow suit. This is the path forward. Click the link in the description below. Get his song. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.